You're not her dad, don't talk to her. My wife snapped. After her daughter mocked me at my own celebration. I canceled everything, filed for divorce, exposed her affair, and now they're broke and begging. I said, not my daughter, not my problem. Hey Reddit, figured I'd share something that happened in my life not too long ago. On the surface, I had what looked like a pretty normal setup. Wife, stepdaughter, solid business I built from scratch. But let's just say things inside the house weren't as picture perfect as they looked from the outside. Some lines got crossed, respect went out the window, and I had to decide if I was going to keep being the guy they walked over or finally put my foot down 10 years ago. I, 45 male, started a landscaping business with a beat-up pickup, a second-hand mower, and more calluses than money. Now I've got a full fleet, crews running commercial contracts, and I don't touch a mower unless I feel like it. 10 years of sweat, dirt, and turning other people's lawns into golf course quality yards. So yeah, hitting that 10-year mark was big for me. My parents, siblings, and even some cousins showed up at my house to celebrate. I grilled steaks, set up tables, and had a spread that could feed an army. It was supposed to be a night about what I'd built. My brother even raised his glass and said, "To the one who actually made it further than any of us." Everybody clapped, cheered, and I'll admit, it felt good. But leave it to my stepdaughter to try and drag me down. She's sitting there, nails clicking on her phone screen, not even looking up. My mom asks her the usual polite question. So, what are you planning on studying at university? And without missing a beat, the girl goes, I don't know. Something useful. I'm not going to end up cutting grass my whole life. The table went silent. My fork stopped halfway to my mouth. I looked at her and just smiled. That's cute, I said, leaning back in my chair. Remember who paid for that phone you're glued to? Yeah, the grass-cutting guy. She finally looked up, face twisted like she'd swallowed a lemon. I'm just saying I want better for myself. Good, I shot back, grinning. Because the way you act, I'd never hire you. My crew actually respects me. A couple people coughed to hide laughs. My stepdaughter turned red, ready to fire back, but my wife Maya swooped in like always. She's not your daughter, Maya snapped, glaring at me. Don't talk to her like that. At least she knows what she wants. Unlike you, who got stuck doing manual labor. Now, most guys would have blown up. Maybe yelled, maybe stormed out. Not me. I just smirked and raised my glass. Right. Stuck doing manual labor that paid for this house, your clothes, and her tuition. If that's being stuck, I'll take it. The look on her face, priceless. My dad even nodded at me like, finally. But inside, I wasn't laughing. I've put up with disrespect from those two for years. My stepdaughter ignored me at dinner while Maya said, You're not her dad. Don't correct her. Stepdaughter sneaking in late, me asking where she'd been, Maya snapping, If you have a problem with her, deal with me. Thing is, I let it slide because I told myself, she's just a kid. She'll grow out of it. Maya was a single mom for years. It's hard to let go. I kept making excuses. But hearing both of them humiliate me at my own celebration, in front of my family, after 10 years of busting my ass, that was it. That was the moment I flipped the switch. I didn't slam my fist. I just sat there and ate my steak, nodding along, cracking jokes with my brother, pretending like it didn't bother me. Because I wasn't about to give them the satisfaction of seeing me mad. What I was really doing was planning. See, I'm not the kind of guy who reacts right away. I don't swing wild. I aim. And that night, I decided I was done letting them treat me like some fool they could walk over. By the time dessert hit the table, I already knew what I was going to do. If I wasn't her father, fine. But they were going to learn real quick that I was the provider. And when the provider pulls the plug, things get dark fast. After everyone left, Maya had the nerve to act like nothing happened. She cleaned up dishes, kissed me on the cheek, said, "Good night," like she hadn't just cut me down in front of my parents, like her daughter hadn't basically called me a loser. I just told her, "Good night," and went to bed. Calm, controlled. Because tomorrow morning, I wasn't going to work. I was going to start digging. I wanted to know exactly what I was funding in my own house. I wanted to see where every dollar of my landscaping contracts was really going. And I was going to make sure the next time my stepdaughter opened her mouth to disrespect me, she'd choke on the reality of who actually held her future in his hands. This wasn't about revenge yet. This was about setting the stage. If they thought I was just the grass-cutting guy, fine. I was going to show them what happens when the grass-cutting guy stops paying for everything. And when I was done, they wouldn't just regret disrespecting me at dinner. They'd regret ever underestimating me at all. The next morning, I didn't load up the truck, didn't call the crew. Work could run itself for a day. I had something more important. I sat at my desk and pulled up the bank's website. If my money was the only reason Maya and her princess could run their mouths, I wanted to see exactly how much of my money had been fueling their little empire. I've always kept an eye on business accounts, but I'll admit I wasn't watching the personal ones as close as I should have. Stupid me, trusting Maya to handle household expenses. She always said, "You focus on work, I'll take care of the bills." Yeah, I was about to find out what that really meant. I scrolled through the last few months. Grocery store, utilities, gas, all normal. But then I spotted something that made my stomach tighten. A regular payment, every Thursday afternoon, to a company name that looked way too polished for what it was supposed to be. Scholarly Success Tutoring, LLC. At first, I brushed it off. My stepdaughter had been talking about some private lessons for math. Except, why were the charges showing up at the same time as hotel charges across town? One at 3 p.m. for tutoring, one at 3:40 p.m. for a boutique hotel 10 miles away. Every damn week. I leaned back in my chair and laughed, out loud. You've got to be kidding me. My wife had been using the tutor as cover, which meant her little darling wasn't just disrespectful. She was running interference. I could picture it, me at work, sweating through 12-hour days, while at home my wife was dropping her off for lessons. In reality, the guy was teaching Maya anatomy in a hotel room. Once I saw that pattern, I couldn't unsee it. Every tutoring day matched a hotel charge. Then came the kicker. Transfers from our joint account into a separate personal account I didn't even know she had. Always labeled household expenses. Cute cover. 23 transfers in the past 6 months, adding up to over $30,000. 30 grand. I bust my ass landscaping corporate campuses and government properties, and she's funneling $30,000 into her side project with the tutor. I didn't throw the laptop. I didn't slam my fist. That's not how I work. I just kept scrolling, screenshotting everything, saving it all into a neat little folder on my desktop labeled Receipts. Because I wasn't about to play the emotional husband. I was going to play the contractor. And in my line of work, if you don't measure before you cut, you end up redoing the whole damn job. But I wasn't done. Paper trails were good, video was better. I drove to the electronics store and picked up 2 high-definition cameras. Told the kid at the counter they were for improving neighborhood security. He gave me the standard upsell pitch, but I already knew what I needed. 4K, motion-activated, audio-capable. By dinner time, one was hidden near the front door, video only, which is legal on my own property. I angled it just right to see anyone coming in when I was gone. The other, tucked away in a bookshelf in the living room, disguised among some old landscaping manuals. I tested the feed on my phone. Crystal clear. Just video with timestamps. More than enough to match with the hotel charges later. The next couple of days, I acted normal. Kissed Maya on the cheek, asked stepdaughter how school was, nodded through their excuses. Meanwhile, every night I reviewed the footage. And there he was, the tutor, walking up my driveway, right on schedule, casual as hell, like he owned the place. At first, the pattern was hotel rooms every Thursday. But once the money squeeze started, they got cheap and started using my house instead. Sometimes they still booked a hotel, sometimes they just did it here. Either way, the routine never changed. I watched him stroll in 10 minutes after I left for work, and 2 hours later walk out adjusting his shirt like some bad sitcom character. The anger was there, sure, but it was cold now. Controlled. This wasn't about emotions anymore. This was about gathering enough to nuke them both without them even realizing I'd lit the fuse. By the end of the week, I had dozens of recordings. Tutor showing up, staying just long enough for a lesson, leaving when Maya's phone buzzed with my heading home text. She'd even timed it down to 15 minutes before I pulled into the driveway. That level of planning? That's not a fling. That's a whole operation. I backed everything up onto a flash drive and locked it in my truck toolbox. No way was I letting them accidentally wipe the evidence. But I wasn't just going to sit on it. I wanted to know what kind of legal ground I had before I made my move. So I booked a consultation with a lawyer. Walked in Friday morning, shook his hand, and said, "I need to know my options if my wife's been committing fraud and adultery." The guy leaned back in his chair, adjusted his glasses, and said, "If you can prove unauthorized transfers and adultery, you're in a strong position. You can recover the money, and in a divorce, adultery weighs heavily in your favor." I handed him the flash drive. Proof enough? He clicked through a few videos, raised his eyebrows, and nodded. More than enough. Just be smart. Don't confront her yet. Keep building your case. Timing matters. That was music to my ears. Timing is everything. So that's what I was doing. Taking back control, piece by piece. Quiet, calm, strategic. Maya and her little tutor thought they were clever. My stepdaughter thought she was slick, running cover with her lessons. They were all so damn sure I was the fool in this story. What they didn't realize was that I wasn't just collecting evidence. I was moving my money, my assets, my contracts, everything, into places they couldn't touch. And when I was done setting the stage, they wouldn't just be exposed. They'd be broke, homeless, and begging the grass-cutting guy they loved to mock for mercy. Spoiler! Mercy isn't on the menu. The next step wasn't to confront anyone. That would have been too easy for them. They'd cry, deny, flip the script, and suddenly I'd be the crazy husband overreacting. No, I wanted them comfortable, cocky, thinking they were still getting away with it. That's when people slip. That's when the hammer drops hardest. First move, the credit cards. Maya and her princess both had supplementary cards tied to my account, swiping for shopping trips, dinners, clothes, school supplies that somehow cost $600 at the mall. I logged in, clicked a few buttons, and poof, canceled. Done. But instead of warning them, I set up the cover story. I called the bank and flagged suspicious transactions. The rep said they'd freeze the cards and send replacements. Perfect. Later that night, Maya called me from a restaurant bathroom, furious. My card was declined in front of everyone. Do you know how embarrassing that was? I played it smooth. Yeah, bank flagged some weird charges. They're investigating. Nothing I can do until they finish. Her voice dropped an octave. Investigating? For how long? Could be weeks. It's a process. I sipped my coffee while she ranted. To her, I sounded clueless. To me, it sounded like music. The next few days were a symphony of whining. Stepdaughter stomping around because she couldn't shop with her friends. Maya pacing on the phone, snapping at me about responsibilities. And me? I just nodded, sighed, and said, "Bank's still looking into it. We have to be patient." Second move, the car. The stepdaughter had a shiny little sedan she treated like her throne. Guess who made the payments? Exactly. I checked the balance, called a guy I know, and within 24 hours the car was gone. Sold clean, signed off. When she noticed, the meltdown was Oscar-worthy. "You sold my car? That's mine." "No," I corrected, calm as a judge. "It was mine. I paid for it, and the title is under my name. Plus, I can't afford luxuries while the bank's crawling up my back." "You'll live." Her face went red. "This is abuse," I chuckled. "Abuse is watching you drive around on my dime while disrespecting me in my own house. Consider this. Respect training." She stormed off, slammed her door. Maya tried to lecture me later, but I just shrugged. "If you think it's unfair, you can cover the payments yourself." Silence. Because she couldn't. Third move, tuition. I didn't pull the plug completely yet, but I blocked the automatic payment. University sent her an email saying payment declined. She came running into the kitchen like the world was ending. "They said if we don't pay in by the end of the week, I'm dropped from all my classes." I looked her dead in the eye. "Maybe you should apply for a part-time job then." Builds character. She nearly fainted. Maya jumped in, of course. "You can't let her education fall apart." I smiled. "Relax. Once the bank finishes their fraud investigation, we'll be fine." That phrase, fraud investigation, became my favorite weapon. Every time they pressed, I gave them the same calm line. It was like pulling the pin on a grenade and tossing it into the room. Meanwhile, I was moving my assets like a chess master. My lawyer had told me what to shift and how. Joint accounts? Emptied into accounts under just my name. I even pulled everything out of the joint accounts and locked it down into separate business accounts under just my name. My lawyer had already set up the structure months back, so by the time Maya went looking, every dollar was already out of her reach. All legal, all neat, all untouchable. On the surface, I was the stressed husband fumbling with banks. Behind the scenes, I was locking every dollar down. The best part? Maya still had the nerve to act sweet around me. Cooking dinner, asking about my day, giving me those fake, loving wife smiles. And I played along, cracking jokes, rubbing her shoulders. Like nothing was wrong. Because I wanted her comfortable. The more relaxed she felt, the more careless she got. And I'll admit, it was kind of fun, watching them squirm without realizing why. Stepdaughter whining about her hard life without realizing I was the reason the walls were closing in. Maya snapping at me on the phone, not realizing every dollar she thought she had access to was slipping through her fingers. That's the thing about being underestimated. When people think you're clueless, they show their whole hand. I wasn't the fool in this story. I was the storm they didn't see coming. And the longer I let them dance, the harder the fall was going to be. The first real crack showed up on a Monday morning. I was drinking coffee at the kitchen counter when the stepdaughter came storming in, phone in hand, eyes wide like she just watched her world collapse. They suspended my exchange program, she shrieked. They emailed me this morning because the final balance deadline wasn't met. My scholarship is frozen. They gave me 72 hours to pay, or they'll reallocate my spot to someone else. I took another sip, set my mug down, and gave her a look that probably made her blood boil. Calm, relaxed, almost bored. Guess that fraud investigation is still messing with payments. Tough timing. Her jaw hit the floor. Are you serious? This was my dream. You have to fix this now. No, I said flatly. What I have to do is keep the lights on and the mortgage paid while the bank sorts this out. Maybe you should apply for a part-time job. Builds character. She gawked at me like I'd grown a second head. Maya came storming in seconds later, already on defense mode. You can't let her future fall apart. She worked too hard for this. I looked her dead in the eye. She's not my daughter, remember? You made that clear. So her education abroad isn't my responsibility. The silence that followed was glorious. Maya's mouth opened, closed, then opened again, like she was searching for a script and lost her place. Maya hissed, "Don't you dare use that against me." I leaned back in my chair and smirked. I didn't use it against you. I just repeated it. That same afternoon, while I was at a job site, I checked the live feed from the bookshelf camera. There they were, Maya and her tutor. I turned the volume up, and what I heard made me laugh out loud in the truck. The tutor was pacing the living room, rubbing his forehead. This is risky, Maya. He's gonna find out. He's not dumb. Relax, she said, pouring herself a drink like she was the queen of the castle. He's so focused on work and his business, he doesn't notice anything. And even if he did, he'd never walk away. He's too tied down. Tutor shook his head. I don't know. What if someone sees us? Maya laughed, and said, he's my safety net. Until you can give me the stability he gives me, I'm not risking anything. He pays for everything. You think I'm walking away from that? That one hit me different. Not because it hurt, but because it confirmed everything. This wasn't some fling. This was a calculated plan. She wasn't confused. She wasn't lost. She was using me like a damn bank while auditioning her next guy. And my stepdaughter? She wasn't clueless either. She knew all about these study sessions. She was the built-in alibi. The tutor sighed. So what am I then? You're the one I actually want to be with, Maya replied. But until you can step up, I have to keep things as they are. He's financially stable. That's not something you just throw away. I paused the video, stared at the frozen frame of her smirking face, and shook my head. If I needed more motivation, that was it. She'd just admitted I was nothing but her plan B. The backup generator she kept running until her cheap knockoff of a man could afford to pay for her lifestyle. The funny part? By the time she said it, I'd already moved most of my assets. She was clinging to a safety net that wasn't even there anymore. That night, I sat in my office with the lawyer on the phone. Once you file, he said, she'll fight dirty. But if your accounts are already moved and your evidence is airtight, she walks away with nothing but what you let her. Music to my ears. I hung up, leaned back in my chair, and let it sink in. Maya thought she was untouchable. She thought she had the perfect balance. Me as the wallet, the tutor as the fun. My stepdaughter thought she was slick, covering for her mom while riding my dime. They wanted to laugh at the grass-cutting guy? Cool. They were about to find out the grass-cutting guy doesn't just mow lawns. He clears the whole damn field when it's time. By now, I had enough evidence to bury them both 6 feet under in court, but I wanted something they couldn't talk their way out of. Bank transfers, hotel charges, video clips. Good stuff, but people like Maya always try to twist it. It's not what it looks like. You misunderstood. Blah, blah, blah. I wanted them caught in real time, with nowhere to run. The tutor was the weak link. The guy wasn't just some side fling. He was married. His wife had no idea she was being played. I figured if anyone deserved the truth, it was her. And honestly, having another betrayed spouse in my corner was like doubling my ammo. So I started digging. It wasn't hard. The guy's last name was on receipts from the tutoring sessions. And from there, a quick search pulled up his wife, Iris. Teacher at a local school. Active Facebook page. Couple pictures of her smiling with him, and their 2 kids like they had the perfect life. I thought about it for a night, then sent her a message. Hi, I know this is uncomfortable, but I have reason to believe your husband is involved with my wife. I can prove it. If you want to see, let me know. She responded within an hour. Who is this? I gave her my full name, even mentioned my landscaping company so she could check I was legit. She didn't respond right away, but the next day she wrote, Meet me. I need to see what you're talking about. We picked a neutral spot, a coffee shop. She showed up looking nervous, clutching her bag like it was armor. I didn't waste her time. Opened my laptop and pressed play on the video. Her husband walking into my house like he owned it. Maya laughing in the background. The timestamps matched up with the hotel charges. Her face went pale, then red, then pale again. She covered her mouth, shaking. Oh my God, that's my husband. Yeah, I said flatly. And that's my wife. She blinked fast, trying to hold it together. How long? 6 months. Every Thursday when my stepdaughter supposedly has tutoring. I flipped to the bank statements, showing the hotel charges, the transfers, the whole timeline. Her hands trembled. She looked me dead in the eye. So what now? That's when I laid it out. Tomorrow, we both leave for work like normal. But we don't actually go. We come back after 30 minutes. If I'm right, they'll be inside my house doing what they always do. We catch them together. No more denials. No way out. She swallowed hard, staring at the table, then slowly nodded. I want to see it with my own eyes. Then tomorrow, I said, closing the laptop, we end this. Friday morning felt like game day. I played my role perfectly, told Maya I had to check on a big contract, kissed her cheek, and walked out like nothing was wrong. She smiled at me, that fake loving wife grin, and I almost laughed. Iris texted me 5 minutes later. I left for work. He thinks I won't be home until late. Ready when you are. I replied, meet me at the park. Then we go in together. We sat on a bench, both of us silent. She looked like she hadn't slept, makeup barely covering the bags under her eyes. I wasn't there to comfort her. I was there to finish this. You sure about this? I asked. She nodded firmly, even though her hands were shaking. I need to see it. I need him to see me see it. That was enough. We walked back to my house. I unlocked the door quietly, and the evidence slapped us in the face right away. Shoes tossed by the door, a woman's jacket on the floor, laughter drifting down the stairs. Iris stiffened. I motioned for her to follow. We crept upstairs, each step heavy. The closer we got, the clearer the sounds. Voices, moans. The kind of things that don't need subtitles. I pushed the bedroom door open, and there they were. Maya and the tutor, tangled in my sheets like it was their honeymoon suite. The tutor froze, eyes wide, scrambling to grab the blanket. Maya gasped, hands flying to cover herself. I leaned on the doorframe, smirking. Well, looks like tutoring really is hands-on these days. Iris's voice cracked like a whip. You bastard! The tutor stammered. I can explain. Explain what? She shot back. That you're cheating on your wife with someone else's? That you've been lying to my face for months? Her voice rose, sharp and shaking. You're done, Dominic. I'll bleed you dry in court. House, car, child support, everything. He turned pale. Maya tried to jump in, voice trembling. Wait, it's not what it looks like. I laughed in her face. Really? Then what's it look like? Because from where I'm standing, it looks like you two have been screwing on my dime. Her tears started instantly. Please, just let me explain. I pulled a folded paper from my jacket and tossed it on the bed. No need. That's a temporary court order for exclusive possession of the house. My lawyer filed it this morning, the judge signed off, and a process server already posted it on the front door. You've got 48 hours to be gone. Her hands shook as she picked it up. You can't. It's my house, I cut in. My money. My rules. And you broke them all. The stepdaughter showed up in the doorway just then, face pale. Mom? What's going on? I looked at her square. What's going on is your mom's been cheating with your tutor. And you knew. Those study sessions? Yeah. You were the cover story. She opened her mouth, then closed it. Silence. That told me everything. Congratulations, I said coldly. You're just as guilty. You wanted to treat me like I was nothing? Fine. Now you're going to see what life without me actually feels like. Iris stormed out, muttering, Lawyer! Now! The tutor scrambled after her, begging like a fool. She shoved him away. Maya reached out, sobbing. Please, we can fix this. I stepped back. No. You kept me as your plan B. Guess what? The safety net's gone. You're finished. And with that, I left her there, half-dressed, clutching court order papers, while her carefully built house of lies collapsed around her. I didn't go back upstairs, didn't argue, didn't scream. I grabbed my keys, walked straight out the front door, and drove to my lawyer's office. We'd already prepped the paperwork. All that was left was my signature. 30 minutes later, it was official. Divorce filed. Grounds? Adultery and financial fraud. A combo that meant Maya wasn't just losing me, she was losing the free ride too. When I got back to the house later that night, she was waiting in the living room, eyes puffy, wrapped in a blanket like some tragic movie character. The temporary court were on the coffee table, but she pretended they weren't there. "Please," she whispered, voice shaky. "We can talk about this." I made a mistake. I dropped my bag by the door and smirked. Mistake? A mistake is forgetting to turn off the stove. What you did was a 6-month operation with a full-time tutor/lover. She started crying harder. "You don't understand. I was lonely. I was confused." "Confused?" I cut her off. "Funny how you weren't too confused to funnel $30,000 into your personal slush fund, or too lonely to schedule hotel meetups like clockwork. Spare me." She shifted gears instantly, dropping the sobbing act. Her eyes narrowed. "You can't ruin her future because of me," she snapped, pointing upstairs. "She's innocent. She worked hard for her Italy scholarship. If you really cared, you'd still pay for it." I leaned against the wall, arms crossed. First, she's not innocent. She knew. Second, she's not my daughter. Remember? You reminded me of that every time I tried to parent her. So guess what? Her future isn't my responsibility. That one landed. She froze, lips trembling, realizing I'd thrown her own words back in her face. For once, she didn't have a comeback. Right on cue, the stepdaughter came down the stairs, phone in hand, sobbing. "They emailed me again," she cried. "The suspension is final. I lost my Italy placement. They said the spot is gone forever. Do you know what that means? My life is ruined." I stared at her, calm as stone. "Sounds rough. Maybe next time you'll think twice before covering for your mom's little hotel adventures." Her face twisted. "This isn't fair. You can't do this to me." I shrugged. Fair would have been me getting the respect I earned in my own house. Instead, I got mocked at my own dinner table. Actions have consequences. Welcome to adulthood. She broke down completely, wailing as she ran back upstairs. Maya lunged forward, desperate. "Please, I'm begging you. Think about her future. Don't punish her for my choices." I shook my head. Her future was already ruined by you. You gambled her Italy dream for some extra tutoring hours in a hotel. Own it. Maya collapsed back into the couch, sobbing again, switching back to victim mode. I didn't stick around to hear it. Meanwhile, Iris didn't waste time. The morning after the sting, she filed for divorce from the tutor, and she went nuclear. Her lawyer started drafting motions for child support. The house, the car, the whole package. She even showed the videos during her consultation. Over the next few weeks, the fallout snowballed. Parents started whispering. The school district got wind, and by the end of the month, Mr. Role Model was quietly asked to resign. I'll admit, watching his life unravel piece by piece was satisfying. He didn't just lose me as a cover. He lost his wife, his home, and eventually his job. That's what you get when you play Teacher of the Year in someone else's bed. Back at my house, the move-out clock on the court order ticked. Maya and her daughter packed in silence. Angry tears and slammed doors the soundtrack of their last days under my roof. They shot me dirty looks every time I walked by, but none of it mattered. I'd already moved every cent into accounts she couldn't touch. Every truck, mower, and tool in my business was already titled under my company. I just made sure the paperwork was current. She had nothing left to reach for. "Where are we supposed to go?" she demanded one night, dragging boxes across the floor. "Not my problem," I said casually. "You had a plan B, remember? Go live with your tutor." Her jaw tightened, but she didn't answer. Probably because she already knew Iris had him by the throat. By the final night, the house felt dead. No more fake smiles. No more pretending. Just two freeloaders realizing the free ride was over. And me? I didn't even sleep there. I booked a hotel across town, treated myself to room service, and slept like a king while they packed. Because when a storm passes, you don't stick around for the mess. You let the wind clear the field, then you come back to claim what's left. 2 days later, I unlocked my front door. The place was empty. Boxes gone, closets cleared. For a second, I half expected to see the living room trashed. Spray paint on the walls, broken dishes. But no, it was spotless. Not because Maya suddenly found respect, but because she knew better. With the kind of evidence I had, if she damaged a single thing, she'd be handing me another lawsuit on a silver platter. I walked through the quiet house, my boots echoing on the hardwood. No more perfume lingering in the air, no more whining about money, no more fake affection, just peace. And it didn't take long for justice to roll in. The civil suit didn't drag on forever, but it wasn't overnight either. Within a couple of months, we had our day in court. The judge didn't even blink when my lawyer laid out the evidence. 30 grand siphoned into her secret account, unauthorized transfers labeled as household expenses, all while she played hotel roulette with the tutor. The ruling was brutal. Maya had to pay back every cent, plus interest and legal fees. By the time it was over, it cost her close to $40,000. Watching her face in court, worth every penny I spent on legal fees. She wasn't crying because of the divorce or the affair being exposed. She was crying because she'd lost her golden goose. Meanwhile, her daughter? That scholarship to Italy she wouldn't shut up about was dead and buried. I didn't pay a dime. The program replaced her spot, and she had to sit at home watching her dream disappear. A week later, I got a text from an unknown number. I'm sorry. I made a mistake. Please help me restart my scholarship. I promise I'll pay you back when I graduate. I read it twice, smirked, and deleted it. No reply. Not my daughter, not my problem. The tutor's life unraveled even faster. Iris wasn't bluffing. She filed for divorce, went after the house, the car, and locked him down with child support that would keep him broke until retirement. On top of that, word spread through the school district. A married man caught sleeping with a student's stepmom? Parents didn't want him anywhere near their kids. He was asked to resign before the board made it official. From respected teacher to unemployed loser in under a month. I didn't lose sleep over him. That was his wife's problem now, and she handled it with the kind of precision I respected. As for me, I didn't stick around in that house. It felt fake, so. Since it was in my name alone from before the marriage, I put it on the market and sold it within 3 weeks. Then I bought myself a new place. Top-floor apartment in a better part of the city. When I walked into that apartment for the first time, it hit me. I'd been living with anchors tied around my ankles, and now I was finally free. Business was booming too. With no more leeches draining my accounts, the numbers looked better than ever. I started scouting locations for a third branch of the company. 10 years ago, I was just a guy with a truck and a mower. Now I was running one of the biggest landscaping outfits in the region. Funny how cutting out dead weight makes everything grow faster. One evening, I stood in my new place, looking out at the city skyline, whiskey glass in hand. Yeah, I treated myself this time. My phone buzzed. It was a case docket update Iris had forwarded me. She'd taken the house, custody of the kids, and the tutor was officially back living with his parents again. The guy went from playing professor in hotel rooms to begging his mom for laundry money. That's when it hit me. Maya and her daughter thought I was just some grass-cutting guy. Disposable. Easy to mock, easy to use. But I wasn't disposable. I was the reason they had anything in the first place. And once I pulled the plug, their whole world collapsed. I didn't just survive what they threw at me. I turned it into a win. My house, my money, my future, all intact. Their dreams, gone. Their reputations, shredded. And me? I wasn't bitter. I wasn't broken. I was sharper, freer, and more successful than ever. Sometimes life doesn't need revenge speeches or dramatic endings. Sometimes it's as simple as taking back what's yours, shutting the door, and moving on without a single glance behind you. Because in the end, the guy they laughed at for cutting grass was the one who cut them out of his life completely. YouTube just dropped this new hype feature. If you're hooked on this story, smash that hype button. It tells YouTube this video deserves to blow up, and it keeps even crazier stories coming your way.